What's going on? It's Colin Brown here from Business Credit Unlimited, and I'm back. So, I want to make a different type of video today. I want to talk about how business funding has changed my life personally, because up to this point, now that I'm starting to upload YouTube videos, because I'm not new to business funding, I'm not new to business, I'm just newer to the YouTube platform, at least from doing consistent videos. I haven't done consistent videos in like 4 years or something like that. It feels like 4 years, but it could have been even less than that. It's been like 2 to 3 years, something like that. I don't know. You could look on my page, you see I have like older videos. I probably got one from like 7 years ago or something, and it was about credit repair. I've been doing business funding for almost 3 years, really. But again, I wasn't uploading on the platform. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about how business funding changed my life. And I don't have a script this time. I really don't even have exactly what I want to talk about, but I just wanted to kind of flow and talk about different things that business funding has done for me and my business. Now, the first thing I want to say, I do know I want to talk about is this. Someone could look at this title and hear the words funding changed my life and equate that to mean money changed me, or money, you someone that think money is everything. Money is not everything, but it is something. If you're someone that is delusional about the impact that money has on your life, then it probably won't make sense to you. But for those of us that have came to that realization, then you understand what I mean. I'm not saying that it has, it's more important than life itself, or is more important than family and your relationship with the Most High, whatever the case. All I'm saying is that from a business standpoint, from a professional standpoint, career wise, whatever the case, however you want to say it, has definitely changed my life for sure. Just a little bit of background about me. I live in Birmingham, Alabama, and I went to school at the University of North Alabama. I got a degree in accounting, and I served as an accountant for about 3 years, almost 4 years. When I immediately got out, I was actually in sales at T-Mobile and Verizon. And after that, I started a job in my field, and it was cool. It was cool. Had met some great people and things like that as an accountant. And I thought the title was cool. Like, it's a lot different nowadays, because when people hear a business owner, I'm gonna get back to the main point, but just a quick segue into like titles. What I used to tell people, I was an accountant. Maybe some of y'all can relate. It used to come off a lot different. Like, people like, oh, really? Oh, that's good. Even though I was making way less money now. Money isn't everything, but I'm just saying, forget the money. Like, I had way less freedom, didn't enjoy what I was doing near as much. But either way, people would just be like, oh, that's great. And by the way, you could be an accountant as a business owner. So anyways, just saying, back then people like would just trip out. But now I tell people and they're like, oh yeah, it's just another one of those that saying he's an entrepreneur, but he really ain't got nothing going on. But anyway, so I worked as an accountant. It was cool. Really had no complaints for the most part, but I just knew that I had more in me. Like, I knew that I could be a business owner. And really, ever since like my third year in college, I'm saying third year because I took more than 4 years to finish. Just to keep it real with y'all, I did more like almost 6 years for real, like 5 years, 5.5 or something. But anyways, because accounting is hard. No excuses. Accounting is hard. For y'all that have the degree, you already know. Like, them advanced classes or the last classes that you need to graduate, is something else. But anyways, I knew from my third year in college, like, I wanted to be a business owner. I did. I was like, I just can't see myself really doing this, like, full time. And I met some guys here, and when I say here, as in Birmingham, that were business owners that really inspired me too. So I was like, man, I know I could do this. And I don't know, as I was working my job, I got a new accounting job from the previous one I was working. So I only had two accounting jobs. The first one I was there the longest, like 3 years or something like that, 3.5 years, maybe even 2.5 or 3 years. I don't know. I can't remember at this time, but I know for sure like at least 2.5, if not 3 years or longer. But I was working that job. Everything was fine there for the most part. And when I went to the second job, that's when it was really starting to hit me. This was around 2018. It was really starting to get to me. I don't know. I guess I don't know. It might have been social media. I don't know what it was, but that entrepreneur bug was just it was really hitting me at that time. I'm like, man, it's time to make a move. So I was doing credit repair at that time, credit restoration, credit repair, whatever you want to call it, and that was my business. And I had already started it. I had clients and things like that, but I wasn't able to go full time or anything like that. I didn't have enough clientele to be able to do that. And man, I don't know, like I said, it really started to get deep with me. I used to make sure like every single morning I would wake up and work on my business before work. I ain't gonna lie, I used to work on my business during work. I used to take consultations on a lunch break. Say I was going to the bathroom and knock out a quick 15, 20-minute call, which wasn't a conflict of interest. I ain't saying this right, but it wasn't a conflict of interest. So it's not like if I did what I did now and I worked at a bank and then they're like, why are you sitting in business to Chase and you work for PNC? It wasn't a conflict of interest, but still, that's what I was doing. I was going hard at it. And I didn't take like lunch breaks, or at least I took lunch breaks, but I didn't like go out and just kick it and sit down. On my lunch breaks, I used to be working. And of course, after work, I used to take it very, very seriously. I used to have to work. And if you're someone that's trying to go full time and you happen to be watching this, that's the things that you have to be willing to do for the most part. Unless you have a job where, you have most of the day, maybe it's online or something like that, and you have most of the day to get things done. If not, it's going to take those type of sacrifices. You're going to have to wake up early. You may not be able to go out after work as much or whatever the case. That's just if you're serious about it. But those are the types of things I was doing consistently, not just one day out of the week, 2, 3 days. I was doing that almost every single day. And then on the weekends, at least at that time, because I don't work on Saturday now, but at that time, because I keep the Sabbath, but at that time though, I was working on the weekends and everything too. But anyways, I was going really hard. So I was starting to get more and more clientele. I was posting on social media all the time, like 2 to 3 times a day, and things just started picking up. And man, I got fired from my job because of my business. And my supervisor or whoever else, they were like looking up my business online, going to my personal Facebook page, looking up my business online. And yeah, I had my 90-day evaluation, which I had only been there 3 months, 90 days. And once they came in, I came in to that day, I had my evaluation, I was gone. And that was the reason why they didn't say it like that, but that was the reason why I finally picked up on it later. But now looking back at it, I'm not near as mad at them because when I was still just an employee mindset, like it didn't make sense to me. I thought they did me dirty. But now, like as an employer, well, I probably would have got rid of me too. Even though it depends though. It depends on what I really needed from that position because I was doing my work, y'all. I was doing my work. Everything was done, but yeah, everything was done. But I was definitely working on my business too. But fast forward to just the struggles of being a business owner. It's not easy, y'all. For y'all that's just getting started, don't think because you may see somebody like myself or someone else that's even way more successful than me that you can just start getting clientele and clients and closing real estate deals just because people are posting about it. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication for most people. Some people a lot easier than others. Like some people start 6, 7, 8 figure, 9 figure businesses within less than 5 years. But for the most part, I mean, you still, that's all, everything I just said can be done in 5 years for sure, depending on the person. But for the most part, like a lot of those people that said, okay, it only took me 5 years to do this or something, they had another 5 to 10 years where they did a bunch of stuff that didn't work. So if somebody say, okay, I scaled this company to $1 million in 4 months, that doesn't mean that they started as a brand new business 4 months ago and then they made $1 million. They probably had, again, another year, 3, 5, 10 years of making mistakes. It's not all equal, but I'm just telling you that's how most people I know did not just start a business and they just start making 6, 7, 8 figures, whatever the case, whatever the person's goal is. But anyways, so this is what I've been leading up to this whole time. Now, I have seen a lot of people like go out of business that I started with that was doing credit restoration. Literally 90% of the people that I know that started in credit restoration are no longer doing it. And then out of those 90%, only like 50% of them are doing something else. Like a lot of them just not in business anymore. Or they're like, they kind of doing something, but it's not really like, they're not like full time in their business, which no knock to them. And I'm not saying I'm wrong with it. I'm just telling you facts. Okay. So saying that to say, I think the only reason that I'm still in business for real is because I've had access to business funding. Throughout this whole time, I kept my personal credit clean. Like I didn't start building my personal credit until like 9 years ago. So this was like kind of around the time that I got started with credit restoration. Because around the time I started credit restoration, my personal credit score was only like a 740 or 750. I knew everything about credit, but I didn't have an 800 or anything when I first started. But everything was clean. I didn't have any negative items or anything like that. I removed the last little things I had myself because I went through credit repair myself way, way, way back in the day. But anyways, that's another story. But I think the only reason I stayed in business this long is because of that. Because when there were times where, like, the money was tight, right? When I say money tight, I'm more referring to the cash flow of the business. Hey, I had to rely on the business credit cards. And a lot of people look at that like, yo, business credit cards, they carry, after the 0% introductory rate, they carry interest. Okay, to me, that's like the cost of doing business. Like, think about it like this. Would you rather pay interest? What if you paid $20,000 in interest, but then in turn, you got a $2 million company out of it that now generates cash flow that's changed the dynamic of you and your family? Would you exchange that now? Or would you rather not pay any interest to the bank, but your company either don't exist at all or it's just not doing well enough to where it could really make the impact that you wanted to make? Which one would you rather do? Me, if I had to pay the interest, then that's what I'm going to do. It's just the cost of doing business to me. Now, at the same time, am I saying that you should pay interest? No. Should you avoid paying any interest on any personal or business credit cards? Yes. There's strategies to where, which I'm a big advocate and fan of, are 0% business credit cards because what I just said, you could pay 0% interest, borrow money from the banks, this working capital to start growing, scale your company. That's what I would suggest that you do. But say if you had to run over for whatever reason, because everything is not perfect every single time, right? It depends on where you start at, by the way. It depends on where you start at. You are not always going to be at the skill level to where you can start a company. Even if you have access to $250K at 0%, doesn't mean that you're going to become a millionaire, especially depending on the time frame that we talking. That don't mean, all right, within a year, you finna make $1 million. Doesn't mean that. It could mean that for sure. Not saying that you can't. just doesn't mean that directly. You're not promised to make anything. Things happen in business. But we know the better chance you have is having access to capital. We know the number one reason that businesses fail is because of lack of capital, right? But also knowing what to do with capital is important too. But still, you have to at least have the capital. And that's why I think most people went out of business or no longer doing, a business or whatever the case is, because they ran out of capital. And I never really did, because anytime I would get a little bit closer to that, I would go get another 0% business credit card, or I would go get a line of credit or whatever the case. And it would float me over until I got to the point where I could start seeing that cash flow again. So that's how it's changed me, because like, it's another thing I wanted to say is, for those of us that are full time, it becomes like a way of life. You know, if you've always had like the 9 to 5 and that's kind of your mindset, that's what you see. That's how you see things. But on the opposite end, when you've either never had it, because a lot of people never had a job before. I have, but a lot of people never had it. But when you've gone years without not having a job, like, that's one of the scariest things you can really think of. Like, I ain't trying to go back. That's not a knock to anybody with a 9 to 5. I don't feel like I have to say these disclaimers every time, but just being very clear here. Not saying anything is wrong with that or anything wrong with employees. I'm not the person that's bashing people for having 9 to 5s. I'm just talking about me specifically and what I prefer, because there's nothing wrong with it. Okay? None at all. All right? I have people on my team. So I'm not saying anything is wrong with that. I'm just saying, for me, that's just my preference, is to not have a 9 to 5. So, like, thinking about even going back to that is just like, I don't want to do it. Of course, I would do it if I had to. I would do whatever I need to do to, within means, I would do what I need to do to support me and my family. But I'm just saying that, like, that's one of the last things I really want to do, is go back. And that's why business funding has been absolutely vital to my journey, my success, because without having that excess cash or capital that I could use for my business, I would have been out of business for sure. I would have ran out of money, and I would have been back as an accountant. And I would have been, it's a mental thing to think about now. Like, how does that affect you mentally once you have a business that fails or whatever the case? A lot of people that make it, they had a failed business or whatever the case, right? But some people don't bounce back from that because, like, well, obviously it ain't for me. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing, and they just kind of stop. And who knows, that could have been me. So I really like to be able to control my time. I really like the luxury, per se, of not having a job, like, just being real. And yeah, it would have been a wrap. Like, if I did not have the business funding, telling you, it'd have been over. And that's how it changed me personally, because it allowed me to be able to really grow and scale my company to the point where it is now. And I don't like giving out numbers like that for multiple reasons. Like, I don't know. I just don't really like talking about that. I mean, some of my clients, like, on here, I don't think they care, but I don't know. It's just always kind of weird. But I just say this, like, we're doing a lot better now. And the only way that we were able to do that is because, again, I was able to get access to funding by leveraging my personal credit. So that's how it changed me. I could go into a million other different things, but I'm going to say that for other videos. But really, for now, I just wanted to talk about my personal journey and how business funding changed me. And I think it can do the same for you. Keep you in business, keep you to where you have that cushion, because that's what it really is. It's like having that cushion, just knowing in the back of your head, like, you don't have to just always be in the survival mode of only being able to eat what you kill. If you've ever worked a commission only job, which nothing's wrong with commission only jobs, by the way, but when you're in that mode, you know, depending on the environment, the job, that could be something that's not favorable for you, depending on what your other expenses and bills are, right? So it makes you a better business owner too when you're not in the state of lack, you know, or the survival mode, because you tend to not deal with people that are not the best clients, the best people, the best circumstances to be put in, when you don't have to worry about that person becoming a client or you closing that real estate deal, but you got to deal with that seller that you don't want to deal with, or whatever the case, or that um, the attorney's office at the closing table, or whatever the case, they you know, they be on some nonsense. You really don't want to deal with them, but you got to. Those are the things that you can avoid if you have, you know, some excess capital, all right, or some capital in general. So that's how it changed me. I just wanted to say that real quick. Real quick being what? I can't see. There we go. Oh, being 20 minutes, but that's pretty much it, y'all. If you have business funding and it's also changed the way that you do business or whatever the case, comment below. Let me know. Or if you're looking to get business funding and you could think about the different ways that it could change you or change your business or change your life, comment below. I would really like to hear from you guys and see what your process is. So 3 or 4 of y'all watching this, I would like to see, you know, or hear from you. I really would. I'll be every time someone comments, it brings me joy to kind of see you guys here. So yeah, just let me know if you have any thoughts or processes. I ain't edit this out. If you have any thoughts on everything I said, but that is pretty much it for now. I'm going to have more videos kind of talking about personal things like this too, but that's it for now. See y'all in the next one. Peace for now.